Welcome to Two Dudes. I figured we could talk about AI since that's been in discussion pretty recently. I did you see what have you seen about DeepSeek so far?
So, from what I've seen so far, they believe they produced the same result as the one ChatGPT with less resources, but obviously there's the controversy that they probably like used a bunch of our chips and they're just not able to report that because they're not allowed to use them. And then the other thing that they kind of piggybacked off of all the innovations that we did. So the cost is a little bit, you know, it's hard to like frame it that way. So those are a couple of the things that I've heard so far. But on that note, it's pretty impressive from what I hear. So it's kind of good to see a little bit of competition out there. But
Yeah,
I would
I
like to
think
get a
the
what's that?
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say I'd like to get a chance to use it because apparently it is open source, to the point that you could run it on an American server, and I'm sure somebody will soon, so that we can use it and it won't be on Chinese servers.
I think I saw today it got it's on GitHub. Microsoft put it out,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
which I don't
Well,
I don't
maybe.
really know how that dynamic works exactly, but I guess it's open source, so yeah, like you said. Or yeah, if it's on an American server, I did see a lot of, which I don't know, could be for sure a lot of, um,
Yeah, and
I
I
don't know, false
actually
information on both sides coming
I
out.
use GitHub
But
for my Steam Deck a little bit, so I can maybe give you a little bit of insight on that if you want.
yeah, I saw something that said it was like only like 14 or 18% accurate. Those numbers are probably both wrong, but it was really low. I think maybe it was 13.
Is that low compared to Chat GPT? Because people were saying it was like the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I don't. I feel like I would have seen people like posting screenshots of dumb stuff it was saying. But honestly, I haven't seen anyone really post anything good that it's done either. I guess I don't know. It probably just looks like Chat GPT. So, but then again, I think that it's definitely stolen because
Oh
and
yeah.
probably part of that is I don't think a lot of people like think about it, but dude, China's been stealing stuff from the U.S. for like 40 years, like all of our tech. It's a huge issue. They're really good at it. That's like their thing is they're good at stealing shit.
Yeah, and we talked about like TikTok and servers and Singapore in a previous episode, which you can go check out on our page. But
Yeah,
we were
TikTok
talking.
legality.
Yeah, and I have to, realize that it's kind of like I have to admit that Singapore seems to be a place that they kind of smuggle things into China that are not allowed. So that's where they got the NVIDIA chips in through, was through Singapore because like apparently about 20% of the chips NVIDIA sells goes right to Singapore, so it's probably just backdooring right to China. So they obviously don't have as many chips as us, but they're pretty much are selling it directly to China, which is kind of funny. Um, but so most likely it was developed using those chips as well. So you can kind of factor that expense in. But people are considering it like the Sputnik moment for China, and the stock market crashed and Nvidia stock crashed. So maybe that'll all even itself out, but it does seem like a pretty extreme reaction for this thing.
I There's so much for me to. This is I don't know why the AI conversation just could literally spiral into anything. I think let's rewind a little bit. I want to say about a week ago they were talking about healthcare with Stargate, and that's kind of what started off this whole thing, right? And Stargate's this big American, uh, basically money pit for AI that they're putting together with all the top like CEOs and large companies with all the research and development. and then China comes and just kind of tries to like swamp this whole thing down. Like, no, we got the best stuff. And I don't know how much of that is China trying to just control like how we view everything, because I think that they do that a lot, and I'm starting to think that they do it a lot more than I even thought. But
Yeah, it's
I'm
like
looking into that part.
China
It's all those
and the
bots.
US. Oh yeah, the China bots that you keep talking about on X,
Yeah, and I see them. I see them
or
everywhere.
suspected Chinese bots, right?
Yeah, I guess I don't know where they're coming from. Some of them are definitely from China, or I don't know. Yeah,
Well,
I guess I
that's
don't
what
know.
people
I
were
wouldn't know.
saying about the Russian bots not too many years ago. I don't know if they ever proved it, but it's probably the same sort of operation, whether it's Russia or China. They're kind of working together in a lot of cases anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a whole. That's what the defectors of the Soviet Union, which obviously Russia's not the Soviet Union, but come on, a little bit.
They want to
There's some of
be,
those
they want to
people.
revive and make a
Yeah,
new Soviet Union. They want to have the same power that was projected by that. So,
but they're defectors in the 80s. The one that there's one that went to Canada and did an interview, and he was basically explaining how the whole way to take down, because they all realize that they're not going to be able to stop America at that point. Like, uh, Russia is starting to like go down, or the Soviet Union starting to collapse in the 90s, and you just have this like, okay, this is how the world's going to go. America's going to be on top for sure, and we're going to have to like try to do this a different way. So they were in the 80s trying to, they'd already realized that, and they're trying to basically get us torn apart. And they realized that if we can get each other, like the public, if we can get two sides basically arguing with each other, then that's going to screw up democracy for us. And to be honest, it seems like it's all worked. I, it seems like it's worked, and it probably was going to work that way a little bit, whether anybody tried to speed it up or not. But
yeah, and you're talking about it's Yuri Bezmenov, and
you're,
he
yeah,
went to Canada, and then he actually came to the U.S. and he was like a cab driver for a while, and I think he did some teaching. I forget exactly, but he did die kind of mysteriously shortly after those interviews as well, which was kind of interesting. But he came here and he warned us in the U.S. and he said that the Soviets were influencing America through our schools and other things like that. He called it ideological subversion,
yeah.
and he described ways that he worked with them to help with their propaganda campaigns when they used this against smaller countries. So it's a very effective sort of method of getting your message out there in a country that allows free flow of information like ours. So that's kind of what you're talking about there. If anybody wants to look it up, but I think your main concern is that you think that China is trying to win this battle of nations between the two of us by deploying these bots and things to change public opinion here, right?
I think two things. I think that that is a very high possibility. And I also think that I can't just point my finger directly at China for like every single time that something like that happens, because a lot of times it's Russia, a lot of times it's Iran, it's North Korea, I would assume. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of it's like North Korea too, because I think North Korea has like a really good, like the thing that they were really good at, because it's not rockets, uh, but it's like cyber
Yeah, they don't
attacks and
do well
stuff.
with those yet. Not quite with the
Yeah,
Rockets yet.
got little rockets, like a dog, little red rocket.
Oh my God. Too true. Too true. I have a dog, boy dog. I know it too well.
Boy dogs, yep. But all right, let's go back to this health thing though. Uh, so that they had this whole thing about mRNA vaccines with AI, which I don't. I guess I understand the idea of AI being able to like figure out what would be the best type of treatment, and I understand how the mRNA vaccine works somewhat. Like it's basically like attaching spike proteins, but they can code them, or not code them. That's a terrible probably way to explain it, but
It causes the RNA or the mRNA to create a protein strand, and that
it's a
protein strand
spike protein,
affects.
right?
Yep, the spike protein is involved in the process, but um, the mRNA creates protein, so it creates a protein strand, and that's the way that it works rather than administering a low dose of the virus like a traditional vaccine.
Right, yeah, because the real vaccine you're using usually like a, I mean, I don't think a lot of people know this part either, but I think a lot of the vaccines were altered variants to make them like non-dangerous. So it was just like a slight variation different than the the actual thing. But and then yeah, they also had yeah, just small doses of like the real stuff. I think that's what the chickenpox one is. That's
Yeah,
why
and
like
it wasn't
people
very
get.
effective. What's that? Oh, the you were saying the chickenpox vaccine?
I think that one is like a small dose of just chickenpox because like I thought a lot of people get them or I don't know something about
Yeah,
it.
so a vaccine. This is actually one of the controversies that I was looking pretty deep into this during that period of time because I was taking like statistics classes and stuff, and I could look into some of the papers of what they were saying about this stuff. But with a regular vaccine, like there's a certain definition of what a regular vaccine was, and they changed that definition so that it would encompass things like the mRNA vaccine. So what they were trying to tell us is that all vaccines are amazing and safe and effective, and like you need to accept them no matter what, even though we all know there are some that have adverse effects.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a huge money like there's a huge market for vaccines in the future. It's gonna be like the largest market
yeah,
according to
and
Billy Gates.
if you can just change the definition of what a vaccine means and what it does, that becomes a big problem because usually a vaccine would be something that could meaningfully stop a disease or completely mitigate symptoms or something like that. But this one didn't really stop the spread, and it like you were talking about with them putting these generic strands in there. The virus was changing so quickly that there was no way that they could anticipate exactly what would be in the next strain. So they were trying to actively, do that, and it didn't really work because it's too slow. The virus was faster than they could make a vaccine for any particular strand, and then the virus itself became much less lethal over time. So it became a better vaccine than the vaccine itself. So I think even Bill Gates said that at the end, so that they were pretty much putting him out of business. So um, it's kind of interesting how that all worked out, but like I don't really trust that process because of all that. So thinking about AI, creating cancer cures using AI and mRNA vaccines, like that's not the best thing in the world for me to hear. Like I don't think a lot of people are going to be too happy about that for various reasons.
Yeah, maybe it was like a almost like a win all type of announcement. And they were like, all right, if we throw mRNA vaccines in there, the left will be like, that's cool. And then AI, we have all the tech guys are going to be like, yeah, dude, AI, a bunch of money for AI. And then all the right wing is like, yeah, a bunch of money for us being America. Let's do it. And they were like, let's that'll get everyone. But honestly, I think it was all just when they were like announcing all this stuff. I don't think these CEOs know what they're talking about with medical, the direction of medical science with AI. Like they don't. They're
No,
just trying to make AI, and they're trying to
yeah,
get a bunch of money.
they're pitching
And
it. They're salesmen, for the idea of AI that they're trying to promote. And, with that deal, they're trying to make more AI, things happen in the United States because they feel like they're losing that battle right now to places like China. So, it's definitely a big put. And I think that's kind of like a pipe dream. Like they throw that out there, like we could cure cancer with these, AI plus mRNA vaccine, treatments. And Like that could be just them throwing something out there that they think is theoretically possible, but really
Yeah, like
they're just
buzzwords.
thinking they think AI can do everything. So it's not really surprising that they think that, you know?
Well, and I mean the when we reach what is it AGI, artificial general intelligence, that's when everything's boom, like 1,000 years worth of research and technology advancement all within like the loading of a web page basically. Like boom, everything's done and it'll throw our world upside down and whoever's in control of that is going to rule the world. But to not get too far off of that cancer thing, uh, a thing I read probably, I think it was 2011 it came out, a book by Dr. Michio Kaku. It's called Physics of the Future. And it, at some point, I guess the book in general is just talking about the largest and most like advanced kinds of technology that might be coming out, and then kind of lays out the book as like, here's the technologies that we're working on, here's where we're at with it, here's like what they're doing to study it, and then in the future in 2050 this is how life might look if everything goes pretty how we expect it to. And then same thing for like 2100, and then kind of talks about some of the big like science or engineering and science hurdles that like we'll have to get over. But one thing they talked about was AI with healthcare, and I don't know. I'm not an expert with healthcare. I know the money side of it a little bit, and I'm always trying to learn more. But what he kind of went over in the book is that you have uh, all these cancer cells, and what we get as like a colony of cancer, it's like the size of a pea, and it's like three or like a billion clusters of these mutated cells, and that's when we are like, oh, I feel this like little lump. I need to go get this checked out, or they can see it on a scan. So really, the issue is not that we don't have like a cure for cancer, or we don't have a treatment that's good for it. We need to just catch it a lot earlier, because by the time that it's at a, a million or a billion like uh, cells, like that's already gone through multiple phases of its like growth. So now it's like much more dangerous at that point. But if you were to be able to catch that when it's like, I don't know, with like 500 cells or like right when it starts happening, then you'd be able to get rid of that cancer way easier and it would have little to no effect on you.
See, and I'd be okay with that form of AI. Like, the idea of mRNA vaccines using that to do it, like, I don't know, that kind of like gives me some red flags. But, when you say something like that, that seems like a
Yeah, because
very good application that we could all probably get behind because, I mean, it
the
sounds like you
AI
could
is
probably, what's
it's
that?
just gonna the AI is just gonna help scan. So instead of you seeing it with a doctor looking at like a scan, being like, oh, that's uh yeah, that looks like something we should check out and do some blood work for. Like, what if you're just always doing your blood work every single day when
Yeah,
you
you
want to get up to go to the bathroom? So you
take
find
a
it
body
super early
scan.
and you're like, oh, I have to go get this checked out. I don't know if you want to do a body scan because a lot of those I think have like radiation. Which, fun fact, radiation is actually there. Some things are coming out that it's actually like pretty good for you, but
No, I just figured
that's a
out
whole
what it
side
is.
topic.
This is me just coming up with this, on the fly, but you could eat an AI and it would just go through your body and just figure out what's going on?
Well, yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking. But
just
something
gobble
crazy
them
like
up.
that. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Like
it's
you
funny
don't have to
because you're
use
really not
radiation.
that you're not that far off. Uh, when you go, so okay, you take care of the problem of getting rid of or like finding the cancer at a younger stage and a lot quicker. But you also have to figure out how to do it. Right now, we do. radiation and chemotherapy, and that kills like 50% good cells, 50% bad cells. So, and I don't know if this percentage is right, but I want to say that a cancer cell is like very distinct when it's in the body, and it's a lot larger because it's been mutated. So if you get a nano bot that knows how to target just those cells, you could have like a 99% like good cell or bad cell to good cell ratio of death to or death to them. So
So you're
then you get
saying
rid of both ends. You get rid of it very cleanly and you get rid of it very early. So the way that he explains it is that, and I don't know if it'd be my kids. I feel like when I read it, that's how I was thinking, and I'm 30 now, so like when I was 20, I was like, yeah, this would be my kids. But you should, the next generation should not know even what the word cancer really is because of that. But this is before any of the mRNA stuff came up, so I'd be really interested to see why that would be a better idea than us continuing down the nanobot idea, because I'm pretty sure that we're pretty good with that.
yeah,
They
I
actually do
don't
it with bioengineering now rather than, which there's some ethical concern around, but
I like that method better, and it sounds a lot more cool. Like just getting a little shot, or you've got these like crazy AI nanobots
they're like
going through your
nano
body
assassins, dude.
exactly with like, AK-47s that are only designed to shoot the bad guys, you know?
Yeah, and the bullets
Like
stop
how
like right
crazy
there.
is that? That's a story for the books, you know?
That's what they should have led with, dude.
If they
Instead of this
sold it like
dumb
that,
mRNA stuff.
yeah, if they sold it like that, the American people would get behind it and they would put, you know, trillions of dollars into that.
I could only hope. Uh, okay, so that's really all I wanted to say about the healthcare end of it, because that was just I don't know, it was driving me crazy when it was happening. Because I'm like, there, no, why would what are we doing? I tried to look into it a little bit, but I don't know. Then I was trying to remember that book, so I was like trying to see. I thought I bought it somewhere. I did at one point, but I mean, we're talking we're talking like, yeah, like 10 years ago, so I don't have no idea what account that's on.
I'll have to look that one up because I think you've mentioned that to me before, but it sounds like a super interesting book. Um,
He's really, I like that. Dr. Kaku, I think is how you say it. He's the co-founder of string theory. So he's like really smart, but he's mostly, I think, mostly a like TV personality at this point. And his whole idea was to try to get digestible, like you're in the fifth grade, high level science to people.
that does make a lot of sense, especially with the average reading level of the United States citizen.
That's the only reason I could comprehend it, dude.
Back at that time, if you go
Because I
through
mean,
the school system here,
well, I mean, think about it, dude. If you're reading somebody's um, like, like a physics paper, and you don't know anything about like actual physics,
yeah,
like just
it's
terminology and stuff, you'd have to have a dictionary with you the whole time. And like I do look into that stuff, and I grew up looking into that this site called it was Big Think before it got all, I don't know. They used to write about science and stuff, and then I don't know when it happened, but I started looking at it, and it just seemed like it was a bunch of political stuff, and I was like, what?
yeah, I feel like I've seen that before. It's like a website or a science-based website written by scientists or something, right?
Yeah, because it was just articles that were, yeah, mostly written by scientists, and instead of like most articles that you read, it would just be articles about new discoveries, new papers that came out, and it wouldn't be the exact paper, but it would be like paraphrased, and it would outline the actual like experiments that they did, which I thought was like really, I don't know, it was just really cool because then you get to, I'm very skeptical, probably be the right word. So I hated reading um, any type of like headline and seeing like new study shows this, and I'd always in my head think like, why? Okay, how did they come to that conclusion? Like, I wonder what they tested, or I wonder what was left out that they probably should have had. So that was like a really cool website for me. And then I'm sure they still have a lot of good stuff on there. Maybe it just got more popular and that they just threw more stuff in there. I have no idea.
Yeah, but
I haven't looked
everything
at it in
has
a
kind
while.
of everything's become political in some way or another in the last like 10 years. It's been kind of crazy, and a lot of things that used to be really good have turned a different direction, and some of them are ending up turning back now. But I could see how a site like that, maybe I'll give it a quick Google and see what's on their front page now.
Yeah, there's some pretty good stuff on there. Maybe I can pop that up on here and just look. Big think.
But I wanted to mention kind of in the
Hold
oh,
on,
what is
before
that?
counteroffer. What if Greenland bought the U.S.?
Is that on your site there?
Yeah, what I tell you
Oh
about
my
it
God.
flipping, dude.
Yeah, that might be a little bit. Well, what's their offer? I'd like to see what they think we're worth at least. What does it say?
Trying to see if there's a conclusion here.
That's funny though. Like, why would they even write this article? Oh, are they just talking about the debt?
Talking about debt, yeah.
They're
And this
saying
is
that
probably where
comparing
it
our
was coming
debt.
to.
Oh my gosh. That kind of hits me right in the gut too. Them talking about our national debt and saying like, oh well, we'll take on that debt. Just sell the US to us for $1 and we'll assume your 37 trillion-dollar debt or whatever.
Is that what it was saying?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe.
Oh
I
yeah,
thought that
I kind
might
of
have been
started reading. I was just trying to skip around though. I don't.
that's what I
Yeah,
thought they were trying to say, right?
I could probably read it. Somebody. I don't know. That's funny though. Yeah, hopefully not, dude.
Yeah, it's a funny thing to
Well,
even write. I mean,
hopefully
it's
they're
it
not even
almost
writing that. That's what I'm saying.
it's almost like
But
satire in a way.
so it's only natural for us to get America back, quipped Kim Kielsen, a former prime minister of Greenland in 2019. So they've been trying to get us, dude. This changes everything. Let's go and invade. Just kidding.
Invade Greenland.
That's what they're. That's what they're trying to say. Is that I just saw something the other day. It was like France says that they'll give troops to Greenland if the to protect them from a U.S. invasion. I'm
From a
like,
US
who
invasion
is
of
actually
Greenland.
talking about going? What do we? What would we have to do? There's 45,000 people there. Like,
Like they really, how many troops is France gonna send? Like France, who gives
dude,
up in every
France,
single conflict
France.
ever.
Yeah, they. Oh my God, dude! I should have my wife come and talk about France from World War II perspective.
Dude,
I don't even
yeah,
talk about that. I don't talk about World War II because she knows. I always feel like she's gonna just tell me I'm wrong.
they just
So I don't
always,
even. I don't
it
even
doesn't
look
even,
into it.
you can go back to earlier wars too. I mean, they always retreat and run away, although we can thank them for helping us against the British in the Revolutionary War. So we really wouldn't have won without them. So I'll give them that one
We can give
credit.
them some credit for Statue of Liberty, that, um, and I mean honestly, most of our ideology comes from the French Revolution, right? So
The whole left and right thing, yes. And we can thank them for croissants. And I really can't think of much else. I mean, the croissants are pretty damn good though. You gotta admit, like a good like a chocolate croissant, a chocolate French croissant from like Whole Foods or something. Like we wouldn't have that without them.
I'm sure nobody got to that. The croissant.
Hmm.
You know what I hate about, not about France. France is okay, I guess. I don't like much of Europe, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm glad.
But
I'm happy to be an American. I'd rather be here. And I've been to France. I was an exchange student for 2 weeks, and I have taken 4 years technically of French, and I just don't really remember much of it, even though some of it was pretty recent.
there you go. Um, I forget. I was just gonna say something about it, but I don't know. Europe sucks, dude.
Yeah, I've always said like, you know, after America threw off Great Britain and then we became the world empire, why didn't we just go invade them, just full circle. Now you guys are America, you're an American colony, Great Britain.
I
Like
wish,
how
dude.
wonderful would that be to tell them? You can't talk
Oh,
like that anymore. You literally
so
can't. You have to talk
oh
like
yeah.
us now.
Oh, unless you're Mexico or any of these countries that I don't know. I keep making this joke, but um, all right. So we have illegal immigrants in America, and they're getting deported, and we go and send Mexicans to Mexico, and they get there, and they like get sent back. I don't know. Maybe they didn't get sent back. Maybe that was just Colombia, but or maybe I just maybe nobody got sent back. I don't know. Let me restart that. So Mexico, I saw the president. That lady is going about how the illegal immigrants in America, we need them, and it's so wrong for the U.S. to demand that they leave our country and go back to her country. And in my head, I'm thinking, wow, isn't this colonialism? They this other country is pushing their citizens to go into foreign lands illegally to settle and take over, or like maybe not take over, but
And bring the dollars back
like
to
they're
their country. That's for
yeah, they
sure.
send a bunch of well, that's true. A lot of Mexican families send a lot of money back, or anybody that comes to America sends a lot of money back to their home country. So like, which to some extent, like when they're usually doing it, it's fine. I just think it's funny, and I don't think that that's what Mexico is doing. I just think that out of the politics of everything, that they found their self basically calling for their citizens from their country to like that we
To
need to
settle.
take them. Like just think if America was like we're going to send people over to the UK and
You
we're
need
just going
them.
to like not legally do it. We're just going to send them there, demand that they keep us there, and then we're going to buy up their stuff, have kids, send the money back to America, and then take over their businesses and stuff there, and then
Yeah,
run
you
for
could.
their UK like the UK's like they'd be like that's colonialism, right?
Yeah, in a lot of ways it
I
kind of
mean,
is,
yeah,
and it's
that's what I'm
weird.
saying.
It's
I'm
kind of weird.
joking,
It's not the
but
right word for it, but it's very similar in action.
it's a buzzword for it.
It's definitely kind of a fun way to describe it because it's a weird phenomenon, Like I don't even understand where it. I don't know. It's kind of weird that she would even say it. You couldn't even imagine one of our leaders saying that about us. It doesn't work that way.
That's what I don't know. I probably should do it to more subjects, but I always think comparing the like things like that makes a lot of sense. I do it with race a lot. Like if you're gonna say something about one race, like and it's I feel like if you are saying something about one race but you can't say it about a different race, then it's racist. Like you just shouldn't be saying or you should either be able to say it or not. Like there's not for this group or not that group. Does that make sense? You there?
Sorry, I dropped my headphones out here for a second, so I missed the last part you said there.
Uh,
So I apologize.
no worries. I
Technical
just said, did
error.
that make sense? But probably
It
doesn't.
does make sense. Yeah, no, what you were saying made complete sense. That was the only part I missed.
Oh my god. Um,
That's funny.
all right, I looked up colonialism. I want to see the actual definition.
Yeah, let's see if we can fit this in there somewhere.
All right, the state of quality, the the state or quality of, or the relationship involved in being colonial, which is a custom, idea, feature of government, or the like characteristics of a colony. I don't know. They're setting up little
They got their own
like
little
cities and
towns.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. And then the
I don't
corporations are
know.
like setting up these little cities for them. How weird is that? Like, I was looking into that with my girlfriend recently, how they just have like a couple like border cities where no English is spoken. Like these people are just paying corporations for the housing or, paying by working for them too. And it's just like this is like a slave camp, like where they're paying them like $5 an hour probably and just letting them live in a trailer. And I don't know, it's kind of weird. There's a lot of weirdness to this whole thing. And like you were saying earlier, like I would really like it if maybe we moved manufacturing like from one area of the country to another. Like if it's getting too expensive there, like move it to a poor area and the people there will be willing to work for less, but they're not going to be willing to work for like dirt wages, like illegal
Well,
immigrants, I guess, which is terrible to say, but like that's why people are saying we need them is because they will work for dirt wages, right?
yeah, but that's, I mean, that'll probably be in my globalism part, but I feel like that's because, I don't know, the world's competition is, I don't know, it's just gobbled up by these huge corporations. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, we've gotten used to like paying a certain amount. Like these grocery stores are getting so rich. The farmers aren't getting like anything. They don't get paid. They're not rich.
No.
It's just the supermarkets, like Kroger. Kroger's giant now. I bought stock in them, and then somebody made fun of me, so I sold it. So I'm a wussy.
Really? Oh no, you listen to them.
They were better at investing than I was.
Oh, okay.
So I
So
was like, all right, maybe you're right. And I just want to use the money for something else. But yeah, dude, they're like giant now. They just teamed up with I don't know, somebody to scan your face when you walk in. So maybe I shouldn't be going to Kroger anymore.
they're gonna. Oh, I've seen those in a couple places. Like they during COVID, especially, like they even had a temperature reader with like a little box that would go around your face and tell you like if you were red or green. That was a weird thing to see.
Well, they want to no, they want it to be able to scan and identify your face with a face ID so that you can get your membership and that they can tailor prices to you while you're in the store.
Tailor prices to you. That's really strange. They're like, okay, well, this guy did pretty good on his, income last year, so we're gonna up his prices. But this person didn't do as well. Is that really like what you're talking about, or?
I don't know what their implementation of it is, but that was the reasoning they gave behind the like deal when they were like asked. So I don't know. To me, it just honestly, dude, it feels like, and I know that this is something that they want to do, and they want to have, um, they want to have the social credit score everywhere, like China has.
The same thing. Yeah,
And
and
people
like
want to
this.
say that China doesn't have one. That's because they're dumb. They don't have a national one. No, because that whole country operates in different like areas, and there's rings to cities and stuff, and there's a whole slave city, dude.
Oh
Like,
no,
oh my, it's the
with no
second
cameras, I'm
largest.
guessing.
No, they don't allow you to go see it, and like they've had international attention on it for a while that they've been called out for it, but like who's gonna?
So,
I don't know.
did you ever see? It was a video from Vice News, I believe, where this girl she goes to China to see their new AI surveillance system, and this might have been like even 5 or 8 years ago or something. But China has this surveillance system that they call Skynet, which is the same name as the one
Yeah,
from what's it called,
Terminator.
Terminator, right? So it's kind of crazy in the first place that they have that name, and then like they're questioning them on why they named it that, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's because of Terminator." And like that was probably like the funniest part about it was like them just saying like they're like, well, Terminator's the bad guy in that. So like, is the difference that Terminator's just good in China? And they're like, yeah, that's the difference. Like it's kind of ridiculous. They just think of it in a completely different way. Like they think that surveillance system is cool.
I mean, I wouldn't be like, I don't know. That's what I. That's the one. That's one thing I think is like kind of a. All right, this can be kind of hard to explain probably, but I've been seeing with all this red note and all this China stuff, and like I've been talking about is these bots on all of these social medias that are like pro China, pro Palestine, and I don't understand it completely yet, but all of the stuff that they're saying and the people that are interacting on Rednote with people from China, if they are from China, like they don't understand that. Yeah, the people from there, number one, have like a lot of things and a lot of content nerfed for them. And then they also come from a whole opposite philosophical idea. It's like Eastern versus Western philosophy. So they polar opposite thought process on a lot of things. So it's not going to match up. And I think it's hilarious to see people. Well, it's very, very scary and hilarious to see people like side with China, especially when they're like on the left. And
I've seen it.
I'm like, you're you're siding with a communist government, which is the part of communism that you don't want is a government, and then a
Yeah,
capitalist market. So you're getting the worst of both ends of
yeah,
what you
they don't.
already hate.
That's a really good
You hate
point.
authoritarianism and you hate capitalism, and you're going to get both there. But, you know, they don't realize that uh, that like the houses, for instance, like there's just small logical gaps, I think, with people, and they see a fact like, oh, uh, China, like look at how much more affordable it is to live in China. Yeah, because they live in like the average of like a 400 square foot house, or I think it's 600.
Yeah, no, it's a totally different living standard, and
Uh,
they have
the
certain big
U.S. is like
cities.
the U.S. is like 2,200.
Yep. Yeah, it's not the same, and in China is just like you said before, it's a different world, and it's kind of weird that people would go onto a Chinese site and then know that country, like they have like an iron curtain there pretty much with their information, their great firewall.
Yeah, they're
Um,
great. Yeah.
it's very well known that China withholds information from their citizens, so it's kind of funny that people would get on their app and be like, America's lying to us about China. Look at all these nice things we can see the people posting on their app and the curated content from China. Like that, I don't know. It is pretty stupid. That's got to be probably the dumbest thing I can think of as well. I don't even know how you get there with your brain, I guess.
Yeah, imagine a country that, and take this from the perspective of somebody who thinks that they hate capitalism. I assume that you would hate capitalism because you think that there's corporate greed and the person that's the CEO at the top is a piece of shit and that he doesn't care about any of the workers and they just want profit, profit, profit. Well, in China, you literally just have a government that has all the power in the world and they can create any basically large company that they want and then take it over without any back, like nothing goes against them. That company can't do anything, they'll just die. So like yeah, dude, it boggles my mind. I'm assuming that a majority of the people I interact with on that subject are probably bots because there's like literally no logical like telling them. I posted something today. Here, I'll show you because it's probably getting a bunch of likes.
This is you commenting with one of the bots.
I think that these are bots, dude, because they like they get a million interactions. They don't ever have a blue check mark. They, I don't know, just have like maybe this one's real. I don't know because they have like photos and stuff, but they're usually just a bunch of like retweets. They don't post very much. And then I think there's a lot of accounts that have just like a lot of bots that are attached to it. And I don't know if maybe they pay for them or I don't know how that all works. But this one I post or this guy says nothing funnier than Americans spamming Tiananmen Square like a broken record. Nothing, even at its most exaggerated, compares to the barbarism. I thought it'd be barbarianism. Is barbarism a word?
Yeah,
Anyway,
barbarism's a word.
okay, never heard of her. Anyway, compares to the barbarism and the rivers of blood staining the hands of the U.S. empire. Tell me, at what dosage does ignorance become lethal? And I just copied and pasted this. But
That's just
according
a
to
strange
historian
way to.
Stephen Kotkin, as cited in the Wall Street Journal in 2017, approximately 65 million people died prematurely under communist regimes in China, mostly due to starvation. During the cruel projects of social engineering, like the Great Leap Forward, this figure includes deaths from mass deportation, forced labor camps, and police state terror.
No, I love that.
All right,
That's a good way to
somebody.
respond to somebody like that.
What's funny though is somebody goes, as cited in the Wall Street Journal, as like, I'm the, like, oh, you're going to use that as your proof. I don't need to actually have a credible proof here. This is common knowledge, my guy.
Yeah, everybody knows that. That's not just
Yeah.
like a factoid from the Wall Street Journal. That's a funny way to portray that.
Here, I blocked this guy because I don't think that they'll just
You're
keep
done. You're
commenting.
done.
They don't stop, so I always block them at the end. Which maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I should stop doing it. I don't know.
Just let
I
them.
don't do it unless I have to, but they'll just change subjects and I'm like, "All right, I'm not going to let this person just put this whole thing that just acts like everything I've said doesn't make any sense and they just like say the same thing again as the last thing." And I can't delete theirs, so I'm like, "All right, dude. I'm going to win this battle." Anyway,
Yeah, this is the way to win this one.
this Luke Kelly person, I think maybe is a real person. Um, USA is literally founded on genocide and slavery. It's the only nation to drop atomic bombs on people and unashamedly use chemical weapons on people. No doubt, Chinese government has committed atrocities over the years, but U.S. moral high ground, nah. I'm like,
We did
that's
that nuke for a reason. Come on, bro. We
well. I
stopped
mean,
the war
number
with
one,
that.
I'm
Come
just
on.
joking because this is clearly wrong, you know. And like, I get this, and I'm like, all right, dude. Like, I'm not really trying to do this whole deal where I argue about the U.S. So I just said they hate us because they ain't us,
Yeah,
which I
buddy.
thought was funny. Chinese proverb.
A Chinese
Okay,
proverb.
hold on. There's some like really stupid stuff in here. Oh my god, dude.
No, that's actually pretty funny.
Oh, I don't know. I just jumped back into it at some point. So world history is fascinating. Europe has genocided the whole continent like 6 or 7 times. The natives were all at war with each other doing this and then leading buffalo off cliffs until we came. The natives to the natives to America genocided America too. No one is guilt free, but when you take into account uh, all the lives that America saved, I'd say it's a net positive. Not many countries have a net positive. Definitely not China.
That's true. That's true. They're trying to do stuff for but they've been just sticking to themselves for so long. Like this is the first time they've ever really turned outward to the world at all. So, like we've been in this thing for a while. So, come at us, China. The eagle will take you down.
Dang, dude, it's so hard to read stuff on here because it's like so much thread. So I don't know. I don't know where that one is, but dude, there's just so many dumb takes on. I should start bookmarking them, and then we can I can run through some, talk about them. That'd be fun.
Yeah, bookmark some of them so that I can see like exactly what you're talking about. We can make a whole episode on like these Chinese bots that you think are out there trying to influence things. But people have been talking about the bot problem for a long time, and I don't know if that's gotten better or worse on X.
Well,
I didn't really use it much before when it was Twitter, honestly.
that's the thing is like I know people that used to buy bots. Um, I know somebody that I don't know. He said he never bought bots, but I don't know. He just had like he was showing me he had like 100,000 followers on Instagram or something, and I was like, dang, dude. And he's like, dude, they're all bots. And he just showed me, and like every single thing, he's like, I post something, every comment is just like, wow, nice. Oh, great. And it was just like really stupid. Now that we have all these like AI language models, though, I don't really know, dude. Because like I can tell when I'm like, I could recognize an answer from like Grok or like that. But if they try to like, if they tweak those to make them
I
obviously
have
less accurate with
something,
things, but they're more like personable, like that, I don't know if we'd be able to tell. Like I definitely
dude.
have no idea sometimes when I'm talking to people. It's
I
usually
have
when I'm
something
like
on that a little
going
bit at
into
least.
uh it's usually like when I'm going into like a subject and I make clear points and then they just like don't take that at all and then like don't make any logical sense and I'm like, I don't think you're a real person.
Absolutely. No, and that's here's the interesting part about it. The companies themselves are actually they're a little bit okay with the bots. They pretend like they don't like the bots, but
Oh, the
they
companies
also
like the bots, they buy the bots.
well, they also like the bots because it increases their user or player numbers. Like, so I read this article, it's about the game RuneScape. Are you familiar with RuneScape? Do you remember that from back in the day?
Yeah, a little bit.
So it's a very like point and click sort of game. It's a big RPG. You level up certain skills like wood cutting and fishing and stuff. So it's really
Yep.
grindy. So it can be fairly easy for somebody to create a bot to go and do these things for them. But the company was always trying to root out these bots, and players would report them. And usually, you'd be looking for somebody acting a certain way and not responding to messages and stuff like that. But now, with the introduction of AI, they are including an AI chat model in there so that these bots will respond to people and say normal things. And now the bots have blended in so nobody can tell the difference, and they gave up on looking for them. And now they just include them in the player numbers and say, wow, look how many players we have playing the game right now. Tell that to our investors. It's kind of like
Yeah.
that's it could be all bots interacting with each other in the future and, you know, pretending like it's a successful game.
I feel like they could also like do a lot of I don't know about in that game, but on like social media and stuff, like how much influence they could have on brand, like specific products and different, like pushing people towards different brands.
Yeah, maybe all the influence in the world, and that would be the freakiest thing, for
Well,
sure. Is
because
if bots started, influencing everything.
all right, if you have a product release for, I don't know, say a new, I guess, let's go with headphones. I feel like there hasn't been any like new headphones that have been big. I remember like the those Dr. Dre Beats came out, and then we had like the smart headphone, and then that's basically the newest thing. So imagine they come out with like a new headphone, and a company wants, they have like an announcement, and it comes out. They get a little bit of traction on Twitter, but then they have that traction instead of being like the 25th most talked about thing on X that day. They get a bunch of bots on it, and now it's the ninth most talked about thing, and now people know that brand is, and like that whole thing catches. And there's for sure like all through all these stats and everything, dude. People have figured out how to use those to like do that type of stuff. So I assume that companies are buying some of these, but that's what kind of weirds me
Yeah,
out about all the Chinese ones, because like for what they're literally just on here to try to convince Americans that they have been lied to. Like that seems like the only goal.
they're
It's
just
not
trying to
like
disrupt. That's it. It's that same thing you were talking about earlier with the
yeah.
Russian
So I guess
defector.
like I
Yeah,
said, it doesn't have to be China, but they're definitely like look like they're from China because it's always Chinese stuff.
Yeah, and they say that China's very technically proficient for sure, and apparently so is Russia, and they're very good with hacking and things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were doing a joint effort to do those same sorts of plans because I feel like Russia has been doing that sort of thing ever since the Soviet Union fell even. Like I don't think some of their tactics have changed. Like I think um they've still
Well,
been doing that, and now they have a new ally in China. They can work together and use their resources.
that's kind of my point though, is that like I think that is the only way. So it's not like a good idea, like just this one option for Russia. Like I think that's the only option.
Yeah, fair. Definitely fair.
And like there's definitely probably an argument for people to like, well, I don't know, that's kind of what I'm all for with um I don't know. I don't if Greenland wants to be part of the United States, I'd be 100% down for it. If Canada wanted to be a state, I'd be like, "Come on." I also think that we should probably do Puerto Rico first. Um but I think that we're all going to need to
Definitely.
be in like uh these like groups, and I think we're going to need to draw back from this whole like globalization of everything, or it's not going to work. Like
It's
I
already
don't
not
know,
working very well in a lot of our opinion.
and I don't know how to stop it either because right now they're all just going out looking for like I don't know exactly what the whole I don't know if Putin wants to remake the Soviet Union and that's his goal, or if he just wanted a portion of Ukraine because of the rare earth minerals or whatever they're called there. I keep screwing up that name, but um, they're doing that. China is trying to influence all of Africa because that's the other place that a lot of those are. That's all for these chips that we're starting to figure out are going to be really, really important. And that's what the whole Arctic issue is people needed to go up there because they know that all this stuff is going to, like, that's a whole globalization thing. And I don't know if the Trump admin is for it or against it. They seem, one thing I've noticed, he keeps saying sovereign nation a lot. And the way that he's saying it, I don't know. Like, I think people are picking up on it like he's saying it and just saying, like, we're the top, we're the best, we're the supreme nation. But I think he's trying to say, like, we're sovereign, as in, like, we're going to cut off the rest of everybody else. And the sovereignty is like, we don't need to rely on anyone else. So we need to be able to make all of our chips here. We need to be able to get all of our gas here. If everything in the world collapsed, we need to be able to not like skip a beat. And Europe's going to have to do that. China is already trying to do that. They just have to steal it all.
Yep. I mean, it's smart. It's a smart way to do it, to take the technology from somebody else and then improve upon it or use it for your own citizens. Like, if we weren't the
Smarter, not
top
harder.
dog, yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, why wouldn't you do it? I would do it. Just like if I couldn't get those chips bought from the US, of course I would get them through what's it called? What's the place where they smuggle stuff through? Singapore, right?
Singapore.
Like I would do it too. I'm sure you and I would probably be Chinese citizens that were smuggling things through Singapore, guaranteed.
I'd be trying to leave China, but yeah, like if I know what you mean. Yeah, probably. But
Yeah, like if you're gonna do it, you got to do it. Or if you
yeah,
can do it, they're gonna do it. That's the point.
yeah, that's what I and honestly, just to clarify, it doesn't piss me off that China came out with that technology. It pisses me off the way that the U.S. reacted to it all. Because I literally, you can look at my X page, go look at it, and you can see I was saying that whole time that they stole this. They
Yeah.
stole this. There's no way it costs. They try to claim this is the one that got me like the most mad. Their initial statement said that they came out with this DeepSeek for $6 million, and everybody ran with that. In that
I remember
statement, it
that. I
says
remember them
six
saying that.
million dollars for the final stage of the training, and it doesn't like so that means that there's probably the first couple of stages we're probably gathering all of the data to do the training, and then like a different form of the training. So how much did that cost? And that's why they didn't disclose, because they stole it all.
And then that's what made the stock market change price as well, if you're being real, because the stock market changes based on what people believe is happening. So, it very well could be that once this settles out, it's not as exciting or good for them as people are portraying it. They're just running with Chinese propaganda, like you're
No, I think
describing.
I mean, yeah, like they're it's a lot more efficient like when it does its like calculation or when it's processing whatever you ask it. So that's like a really good thing that they did, and they just like tweaked it, and yeah. So that's like good. And that's a step ahead for sure of what America has. But they don't know how to create any of it on their own. They did get a huge leap forward now. So now they're basically a tiny bit ahead of us in this race. But I think really what is going to happen is that is just a wake up call, and I think it's going to backfire on China because I think that they were trying to. I think that they got that released probably just to follow that Stargate announcement and all the hype to try to settle that down. And they're like, yeah, here's who. But that's what I'm saying, dude. All this stuff's happening, and they've got bots and stuff online trying to convince everybody that China's good. And you got Americans on here literally that are a part of the news that are on X making posts about how good China is. And I'm like, what?
It's an information war. It's a very strange information war, and our people are pawns in it, and they're definitely being used. And it can be, when you see through that, it can be hard to see why people don't.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I guess true. I don't I don't know. To me, I guess yeah, I don't know. To me, it cuz like some of it, dude, it's you're literally having to think that the whole world is lying to you, and the only place that's telling you the truth is China, because the only place that you can find that information is China. Why is it that only place that you can find it is China?
yeah, it's pretty weird, right?
I mean, raises a couple of red flags for me, but yeah, I guess to some of your point, I think maybe I don't know, maybe they just don't think about it very much, and they just post something for clicks, and they don't realize that like how stupid it really sounds.
Engagement farming, talking about whatever the thing is of the time, or just going along with what everybody else is doing.
Love you, bye.